Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lebanon Senior Center Crafternoon. Today we are going to be working to make a beautiful floral wall hanging decoration. So you have to go on your wall. You can lean it on a mantle or a bookcase or wherever you wanted to actually. And we are going to be using artificial flowers, burlap, a picture frame. You're going to need some scissors, probably a nice strong pair, and a glue gun. There are some ways to do it without a glue gun. You can sew your flowers onto the burlap, but glue gun is definitely the fastest way to go. So that's what we're going to be working on. So our first step, you just need a picture frame. It can be an old picture frame. We're going to cover it for this particular design. You could certainly get a thicker frame. You could cover just the backboard piece or take out the backboard and glue your burlap to the back side of the frame. Looks really nice. This one is really thin. You can see it. It's a really tiny, flimsy frame. Most likely, one of those quick pickups from like the Dollar Tree or something that we were just using it for to hold a document here at the office. Today it's going to get a new life though. So if you do have a really thin frame, we're just going to wrap the whole thing. If you have a decorative, beautiful frame that you're using, you will certainly want to just glue the burlap to the back. In doing so, you want to, of course, not show the edges. So I have trimmed out a piece of my burlap, just a little bit bigger than the frame. It's about an inch. This might be an inch and a half. Burlap's fun because it's very giving. It's loose, so it shimmies here and there as you're playing with it. So inch and a half all the way around the edges of my frame. So I'm just going to take my handy dandy glue gun here and I'm going to run a bead of glue along one edge. And I'm going to very carefully, so I don't burn my fingers, lift the burlap up and capture it. I'm using a low temp glue gun. If you've got a high temp glue gun, you can certainly use another piece of fabric to push it down, or a piece of cardboard, or something where you're not pushing your fingers into the glue, because you certainly don't want to burn your fingers because the weave in the burlap is quite thick and you will burn your fingers if that glue comes through. All right, so once we've got the one side kind of tacked down, I'm pulling the burlap to myself just a little bit, just to try to make sure it's got kind of a nice tight appearance to the front. And once again, I'm just going to sit here and tack it down. And I already need to stick in another glue stick. That's the bad deal with these shorties. They tend to get used up really fast. So, all right. And once again, just going to quickly tack this side down. And I'm starting with the long side just because it's my preference. You could start with the short sides if you want to. I just wanted to do the long edge. And I'm going to quickly flip it over just to kind of look, see I kind of have this lump in the middle. So when I do the sides, I'm going to try to make sure I pull it a little bit. If you do have a bit of a waffle, don't panic because remember we're going to be covering it up too. All right, so flip back over. Alrighty. Now, actually before I glue, so when we do our edge here, we're actually going to kind of do a two-step process. Your intention might just be to fold it up and over, but then you kind of get these gimpy sides that stick out. So I'm kind of doing a triangle fold. So I'm kind of tucking the edge in a bit on itself, and then I'll roll it up just so the edge doesn't come flush. I just want it to tuck in a little bit. Think of it as if you were doing a package, folding a present, wrapping that wrapping paper, trying to have those nice clean edges. So I'm actually going to do one side first. And I'm going to town with the glue. Putting a lot of glue on there. because I want to make sure it's good and hot. Give it a nice push down. All right. And while I'm kind of holding that in place, I'm going to come along the edge and put down another bead of glue so I can start capturing. Like playing capture the flag here. Capture the glue. All right. So that one, I didn't come all the way down because I wanted to leave enough space again so I could do that little tuck in with my other corner here. All right, that's pretty good. So once again, I'm going to put a lot of glue on this corner. And then I'm going to lift that burlap up and over. Awesome, awesome. I'll kind of lift it up so maybe you can see what I'm talking about here. All right, so down these corners are kind of mitered. I kind of tucked it in and then I folded it up. However you miter a corner, except chopping it off. If you chop it off, it probably will end up getting loose from you. And you can always come back in and put a little bit more glue wherever you think it looks a little loose, just to help reinforce things. And of course, when you get those little wispies, you're just going to chase them around and peel them off your fingers. Make a little wispy string pile for your glue gun. The best part is most people won't ever see the back of this project, so you can leave it that way. All right. I'm just going to take another quick look. So I still have a little bit of that lump, so I'm going to just try to make sure I push it to the side before I turn it upside down here. And I'm going to put a dot in the middle here, just because I want to give myself a nice chance to capture that little bit of burlap that seems to be giving all the give. There we go. There we go, so that it's nice and tight. All right, now back to the corner. Once again, we're going to put a lot of glue in the corner. Preload my little glue gun here. Tuck in that material in so I can capture the corner. One more mitered edge to go. A little glue in the middle here. Just make sure we capture that edge. And this other corner to miter again, I'm doing lots of glue. There we go. Capture it, miter the corner, poke it in, fold it up over. An extra little string of glue because, you know, having a little extra glue is fun. All right, so after you get your burlap all glued to the back, you kind of have this lovely little board of burlap to work with. Now, if you've got, I should mention this before, if you want to hang it, it's a good idea to make sure that you've, left a gap for whatever hanger or, hardware there is to use as hanger for the frame that you already have. If you don't really care, you can always buy extra frame hardware in a store. Walmart, Mart, craft stores, they all have extra hangers you can buy to attach, and you can just glue it on the back. Or you can always adhere some ribbon to your frame. That might make a pretty hanger at the end of your project. All right, so now to the artsy craftsy portion of it. You maybe already got a little craftsy because we just covered this frame with burlap. My hanger sits on this long edge, so that's what I'm going to kind of decorate wide. wise is to keep that in mind. Okay, so then we got our flowers. So this is where those scissors come back in handy, because you're going to be wanting to either pull off the flowers, the fake flowers, off of their wire stems, or you can cut them off. A pair of wire trimmers can make that easy, or a good sturdy pair of scissors. It can also be helpful once you do that, there's these little plastic bits on the back, that little dark piece in the center. So this is the back side, and it's just the point where you usually stick a wire stem into. And you can just get down there close to the base and trim it down quite a bit. When you trim it down, it allows it to lay much more flat. Oh, look, that's already cute. It's just one flower. And so that's how you're basically going to start playing with this. You get to play with it until you get the look that you want. All kinds of options here. And you can audition all kinds of flowers, little ones, small ones. You can just kind of have a field day with it, really, getting the look you want to with your flowers. And it's not really limited to just flowers. You could certainly come back through with buttons, little butterflies. There's all kinds of things inexpensive in the decorating aisles of our stores that you could add on to really zhuzh things up. I'm sitting here playing with this big old rose. There we go. And we've got some of these smaller flowers. Sometimes I feel a little bad plucking them apart. Like but then I think, well, it's kind of like deadheading. You know, if you're an actual gardener, you've got to go out and deadhead your flowers on occasion, right? Otherwise, they're not as healthy as they could be. So we're just deadheading our flowers here. And maybe we'll do a little bit of these hydrangeas. The smaller flowers, obviously, you want to be more careful with, because you're more likely to get your fingers pretty good with the hot, a hot glue gun than you would be with the small ones. So, alrighty. You know, you can even run ribbon around if you wanted to. And make stems appear. All right, so that's what it about looks like. I'm just kind of laying it out. So I'm not going to bore you with watching me glue all these down. So I'm going to hit a pause, and literally I am just going to start gluing these down. I'll actually do one for you before I cut away. So I'm just going to take this flower and I'm going to put some hot glue right in the center of the back. A nice pile of it there. And then it's going to go upside down. I'm going to push. Just really push that flower in there. You can kind of give it a shimmy, shimmy, wiggle, wiggle, just so it catches. All right. So then it's going to attach it, that glue is really going to grab onto this burlap back. All right, so I'm going to continue on and I will show you the finished product here in just a minute.